Past 41 agriculture. So in your past 41 agriculture, this is the very first standard that talks about the industry of agriculture. So on your past 41, of course, it prescribes the accounting treatment for your agricultural activity, that is your biological transformation. So here we will learn about your living animal and your living plant, or what we call as your biological assets. So before we dwell much on our agriculture, we first define these terms. First, we define what is an agricultural activity. An agricultural activity is the management by an entity of the biological transformation of the bioassets for sale into agricultural produce or into additional bioassets. Just take note, what we look here is the transformation and making it into agricultural produce. So if we have here a bioasset, we try to transform it so that we have a produce. So hanggang dyan lang yung past 41. After it, ibang standard na. That is past 2. So for example, guys, meron kayong chickens. Chickens yung agricultural activity ninyo. If you will transform those chickens, the accounting for the transformation is past 41 kasi nga agricultural activity siya. Up to the time may produce siya. Sa time na meron na yung produce, tas ibebenta mo, so the produce, let's say, is eggs. At the time there is a produce eggs, that is still past 41. Clear? But at the time, you will already sell it, or after you recognize the produce, what do we use? Pass to. Sir, why pass to? Because the eggs will now be considered as an inventory. Kasi nga, yung egg yung mga ibebenta mo. So you consider them as already inventory. So we will only limit ourselves for past 41 on the time we have a biological transformation until the time there is a produce. After that, pass to. I hope we are clear here. Agricultural activity, transformation, and then the transformation of that to a produce, past 41. After accounting for the produce, past 2. Clear? Next, what is an agricultural produce? An agricultural produce is the harvested product of the entity's bioassets. So whatever is harvested out of that bioassets. So for example, our chicken, tapos egg yung na-harvest natin. Ang tawag doon ay agricultural produce. But the question is, what is a bioasset? I told you already that a bioasset is considered a living animal or a living plant. So whether that is a living animal or a living plant, we call that your bioasset. Next, we also talk about your biotransformation a while back. So what is a biotransformation? A biotransformation is the process of growth, degeneration, production, and procreation that cause qualitative or quantitative change in the bioasset. When we say qualitative, lumaki yung bioasset. Okay. Or lumago yung bioasset. That is qualitative. Quantitative, dumami yung asset. So for example, yung chicks, maliit na manok, chicks. So the chicks, once it grows from to become a full-blown chicken, we call that qualitative factor or qualitative changes. Quantitative, dumami siya, nanganak yung yung chicken. Tapos, nag-iba yung price niya kasi nga lumaki siya. Those are quantitative changes. Okay? So, biotransformation, what are those items? Growth, the generation, the production, and the procreation. So, those are all biotransformation. So, how many biotransformation activities do we have in agriculture? We have 4. Growth, degeneration, production, and procreation. Since we already determined what is an agricultural activity and what is agriculture, we can now dwell as to your recognition and measurement of your bioassets in your agriculture. So what is your recognition criteria? So when can we say that your bioassets can be recognized as bioassets? Remember, when we talk bioassets, that is a living animal and living plant. What do we do with that living animal or living plant? Biological transformation, and we account for the produce. Take note of this. PAS 41 only applies to this one. If you have a living animal and living plant for biotransformation, then it is considered PAS 41. Sir, what if I have a living animal and it is used for sightseeing purposes? So, halimbawa, yung mga zoo animals. So, may zoo. Yung zoo animals dun ay living animal. Question, are those living animals for biotransformation and accounting for produce? No. They are for what do you call this one? Sightseeing. They are not really transformed. They don't procreate it. They don't grow it. They don't produce it. But it is only for entertainment purposes or recreational purposes. So how do we treat it? Past 41 ba? Hindi. Hindi siya past 41 kasi nga hindi siya pasok sa biotransformation. Eh di ano, pwede mo siyang i-account as past 16, as property, plant, or equipment because it is there for your whatever use, not for sale. Hindi naman siya for sale, not for biotransformation. So ang best mo is past 16. Okay? Clear tayo doon na. When do we recognize it in your past 41? If there is an agricultural activity, that is your biotransformation and your production in case. So, in your biotransformation, you look into the activities if papasok yan. Okay? So, living in an animal and living plant is not always under past 41. It depends whether uh, the biotransformation happens. So once you know that there is this biotransformation, how do we recognize? Of course, you first control that particular asset. You already know what is control. We discussed that before in your conceptual framework. Further, there is a probable future economic benefits. What is the future economic benefits again? Remember your conceptual framework. And further, you can measure that future economic benefits. So if you control the asset, and it is probable that the future economic benefits will flow to the enterprise, including the measurement of that particular future economic benefits, then we can recognize it. But actually, your main point here, so that you can tell that there is an agriculture, you look if there is a biotransformation. Once we know how to recognize them, we look into how to account for those plants and animals. Under the rules, bearer plants are measured at PAS 16. So the biotransformation of your bearer plants is under PAS 16. If there is already produce of that bearer plants, PAS 41. So for example, you have a farmland and that farmland is composed of different mango trees. How do you account for those mango trees? Under the rules, that biotransformation of that mango tree is under PAS 16 and the produce is under PAS 41. 'Di ba ang general rule natin kasi kanina, the biotransformation including the produce is under PAS 41. Exemption, bearer plant. The biotransformation is PAS 16. The produce, PAS 41. After harvest, after harvest of produce, ano uli gagamitin? PAS 2. Huwag niyong kalimutan to ah. Biotransformation and the harvest of your produce, PAS 41. After, PAS 2 na. Bakit? Kasi nga yung produce mo, magiging inventory na. Okay? Gagawin mo siyang inventory. Pero, may exception dyan. Yung bearer plants. The bearer plants at the biotransformation, it is accounted under PAS 16. And the produce is only accounted in your PAS 41. While your bearer animals, the animals biotransformation, including their produce, is accounted under PAS 41. Ingat dyan ah, better plants, PAS 16. However, the produce of those better plants, PAS 41. Better animals, biotransform, and their produce, PAS 41. After harvest of the produce, PAS 2. Whether better plants or better animals. Clear? After harvest of the produce, PAS 2. Whether better plant or better animal. So how do we measure it? How do we measure it? So to measure your agriculture, we have here initially fair value less cost of disposal. Sir, what is cost of disposal? This is the same term with your cost to sell. So it's still FVLCTS. Same lang pa rin siya. Fair value less cost to sell. Same pa rin. Subsequent, fair value less cost to sell pa rin. But take note, any gains or losses is presented in profit or loss. Any gains or losses are presented at profit or loss. Sir, how should we measure your fair value here? The fair value here is still measured at PFRS 13. So whatever is the whatever is the pronouncement on your fair value measurement, such as your quoted price, your similar asset, still applies as to your past 41. Okay. And take note, guys, for your gains or losses that is presented in your profit or loss, this is your total gains or losses. However, in your notes to financial statements, you can report these types of gains or losses. So gains or losses based on physical change and gains or losses based on price change. Of course, your gains or losses based on physical change is based on your growth of that particular asset, while your price change, if in case there are changes on the price of that particular asset as of that time. But again, your total gains or losses is based on these two items. So pag hinati mo yung total gains or losses, ang laman pala nun ay gains or losses on physical change and gains or losses on your price change. Take note, FVLCTS under your past 41 stops at point of harvest. Kailangan ko tong i-emphasize kasi baka makalimutan ninyo. Biotransformation and harvest of produce, doon lang papasok ang past 41. After this, pasok ang past 2. Why? Because those produce harvest will be now held for sale. And normally, those held for sale are treated as your inventory. Okay. Better plant, take note, past 16. Sir, question. How about the agricultural land? Agricultural land, land pa rin siya, di ba? So, not living animal, not living plant. So, past 16 pa din yan. Okay? What else? Hmm. Those are the items already. So everything regarding agriculture is already placed there. Take note of these rules. Take note of these rules, including the better plan. You will only apply agriculture if there is a biotransformation and there will be accounting for the produce. After that, you apply pass two. The agricultural land where you uh, have your agricultural activity is still measured under past 16. That's it for our agriculture.